Welcome back, viewers. In today's video, we will do a summary of the different ISOs available in the Arcolinux and which ISOs have been covered in the Arcolinux Learning Path series that we are doing on our channel. So, this is the web page of the arcolinux.info. Here, you can see the different editions or the ISOs available for the Arcolinux. So, first, the flagship ISO or the flagship edition of Arcolinux is the XL or X large ISO. So that is abbreviated as Arcolinux XL ISO. So it is complete ISO. The default desktop is the XFCE4. So totally there is one desktop ISO by default. You can add any other desktop. So those will be installed additional to the XFCE desktop. The ISO has themes, so when you install the Arcolinux will have the default themes pre-installed. Then there is support for the Bluetooth printer network. There is lots of software that you can choose from. Have fun and you can enjoy it. The size of this ISO is 2.4 GB. It is 64-bit ISO. You can add even more software using the Arcolinux tweak tool and the software store. The Arcolinux core is available, plus the video support is there, network support is there, display manager support is there. The desktop environments are available. The applications, a lot of applications are available. The conkeys are available. The themes are available. The icons are available. You can select your wallpaper and you are done. So you can then start being productive on the Arcolinux XL ISO. Next is the XS ISO. XS is X small. XS contains the LTS kernel. So it is a mix of XS small ISO with the LTS kernel. So it doesn't come with the latest kernels, but it comes with the LTS kernel. It is minimal in installation. The default desktop is XFCE4. So you will get the minimum packages to start with. There is one default desktop, that is XFCE4. You can add further desktops to the installation. It is theme. The Bluetooth printer manager is there. The printer network is available. There is no software, so during the installation there will be no options to install any extra software. That you have to do after the installation is complete. Then you can open the software store and then you can install. So the size of this ISO is 1.7 GB. It is 64-bit ISO. You can add more software using the software store, but there is no option to add software during the installation. The ISO contains the Arcolinux core, the video support, network support, display manager support, desktop environment support, applications. There are lots of applications that can be installed after the installation is done. But during the installation, when you do the installation, there are very few applications because this is a minimal desktop. Then conkeys are available, themes are there, icons are available. You can select your wallpaper and you are done with the installation and you can start the productivity. The third option, that is the third major edition of Arcolinux, is the Decide desktop. So here the ISO is called Arcolinux D ISO. It is minimal. So to begin with, the ISO has minimal desktop, minimal software. There is no default desktop. No desktop is installed by default. So you have to choose the desktop that is going to be installed during the installation. So the CalMers installer has the option to select the desktop you want to install along with the different softwares. You can add any desktop. The desktops don't have any default themes, so themes also you need to add during the installation. There is no Bluetooth, no printer, no network support in the ISO. There is no additional software inside the ISO. You have to learn everything, how to mix match the different software, the different tiling window managers, the desktops, everything what you want, you have to select from the installer and then install. So if you don't select any software and you will do the installation, complete the installation, then only the minimal install will be done. And of course there will be no desktop, so at least minimum you have to select the desktop you want, and rest of the software if you don't install then only the minimal install of the desktop that has been chosen will be done. So you can see it in our videos in the Arcolinux learning path series for this. So how we did the minimal install. Now this Arcolinux D ISO contains Arch Linux core. The video support is there, network support is there. You can choose your display manager. So in first two ISOs, the display manager was there by default. Here you will have to choose your display manager. So you can even mix and match the desktop environments with the display manager. Say you take the SDDM display manager and then you install the Mate desktop like that, or you can take the XFC desktop and you install the SDDM display manager. So you can mix match the different desktops, the display managers and other things. Arcolinux D ISO is for the users who can build their own system on the Arch base, the Arch minimal base that is provided in the ISO. You can start in terminal and install everything with editable scripts or use the installer. So both script support and installer support is there for the installation of the system. So here there will be no themes, conkeys, everything, icons, everything you have to select and install. Otherwise when you do the only desktop selection and install, then only the minimal desktop will be selected and installed. The fourth edition of the Arcolinux is the Arcolinux B ISO. So here you can choose the desktop, you can build the desktop. So here the minimal desktop is available by default along with the minimal software. So you can choose your desktop. So there will be one desktop available by default. You can add more desktops to it. The ISO is thin, the Bluetooth printer network is available, the minimal software is there. In the Arcolinux D there was no software, so everything you have to select and install. Here the minimal software for the minimal desktop will be available. You can have fun and enjoy. The size of this ISO is around 1.6 to 1.9 GB. In the Arcolinux D it was 1.4 GB ISO, so here it is little bigger. So it is a 64-bit ISO. You can add more software. The ISO contains Arch Linux core, the video support, network support, display manager support. You can choose the desktop you want to install. You can choose the applications. You can choose the conkeys. You can choose the themes. You can choose the icons, and you can build the ISO. And that is, you can build your system in a Now there is some comment here. The Arcolinux B ISO is a minimal software. The ISOs come with Firefox, Pamacol, Paru, USB creator, conkeys, adblock, Arcolinux tools and settings. Tip: every ISO has a package list, so check that file to see the content of the ISO. So 93% of the packages of the Arcolinux are coming from the Arch Linux. So here you can check. The next, that is the last phase of the Arcolinux will come soon. So I will require to first do some trials on my machine before I can make the video for you. So of course I record the videos live, so if there is some mistake then I have to redo the video. So better I do check out the ALSI method to install the Arcolinux or the Arch Linux by myself, and then when I am satisfied with the progress, I will make a video and share with you on the channel. Bye bye.